Resumed. Yeah,
Okay.
We're back.
I was worried about breathing during that pause there.
We're back. Oh, it's like well, it's like aside from people watching the playlist, it's not like it's going to be a continual thing. I kind of wish we had advertisers. They just cut to a commercial and come back, so we didn't have to go like, everybody freeze. Except nobody's going to give us any money for this content. That ain't going to happen. It's like, and honestly, I'm not sure we could add advertisers over here without compromising the already horrible quality, because then whoever's giving us money, we'd have to like never talk bad about them. And I'm like, that's just not the way I work. It's like, I'll rip you a new one even if you're giving me $1 million. It's like, you suck, you suck.
Maybe.
Oh, no. Maybe like $5 here, $5 there, but it adds up, you know. It's like, anyways, moving on to the big bouncing Microsoft world, of which there is ungodly absurdity this week. I almost want to start with the last thing in it rather than the first. Microsoft of all, y'all okay with that?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, Microsoft of all people, of all the companies to be doing this, is filing a Euromonopoly complaint against Google.
Where's this in the show notes? I thought we were on Microsoft for the developers.
Right here.
Ah, okay. Is that a link?
No, unfortunately it's not. No, Microsoft filed a monopoly complaint against Google. What they're claiming is that Google is preventing competition in search. Basically, they're saying Google is keeping Bing from being successful. So Google's a monopoly and Google's bad. And I'm like, okay, on the one hand, I am absolutely convinced that their position is right. Google is definitely keeping Bing from dominating the search market. On the other hand, I'm not sure I agree they're a monopoly.
Wait, where? I would not agree with that. I mean, hello, Microsoft. Google's not in control of OEM channels and forcing every damn user to use their, their search engine, nor do they have any software that is a monopoly that I know of that mandates its own search engine. I mean, every browser that I have allows me to choose Google, Bing.
With the
Chrome, the first time you boot it up, it asks you if you want to use Google, Yahoo, or Bing for the primary search.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the only exception of that, of course, would be things. Last time I was seriously fucking around with Safari, the default search was Google and there wasn't a toggle widget there. There was a plugin you could add that would let you change it, and you could do a hack to change the browser, but Google had made a deal with Apple to make the default search for Safari Google. And Google has made deals with some phone companies.
Okay, they can make a deal, but those are individually... They're not forced. In other words, as Microsoft had forced licensing with OEMs, you know.
Yeah, no, it's like, and that's the thing. I'm like, I'm with Leo. Hi, pot, me kettle. You know, Microsoft of all companies to be complaining about mass marketing techniques preventing competition. I'm like, really? Really? You honestly want to go there?
Yeah. Companies will wait a good 20 years before they can start balking up monopoly stuff on other people.
I think the biggest reason that people use Google is because they want to use Google. And that is a good reason to be at the top of the market. Honestly,
I opposed it for years until Yahoo changed their algorithm. I was
in the same boat. I know, I was a big Yahoo fan.
Yeah, I liked that Yahoo algorithm. I would go to Google's, but there were a lot of things that Yahoo algorithm would just give me more the search result I was looking for. But when they changed their algorithm to Bing's algorithm, the quality of the Yahoo was, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go to Google now, because it's not giving me different, better results for different way of thinking for what I wanted. It's just giving me Google results that aren't quite Google results. So I'm going to go to Google. It's like And that was when Google officially became my search engine. Until that point, Yahoo was my primary, and I would Google, but I was usually Yahooing.
What an odd concept.
I know. It's like, is it any reason that not too long after that, Yahoo fell to spot number 3? You know, it's Google, and then there's way down in the percentage Bing, and then there's Yahoo, and then there's everybody else. You know, that's just the way it is. Like, if what Yahoo should have done, okay, fine, sell everything, license the Microsoft thing and sell all the ads and so on and so forth, but they should have kept developing theirs, because I actually liked the Yahoo algorithm. I'm annoyed that that's not there anymore, you know. It was a good algorithm. It was a good algorithm. It wasn't the same, but it was very usable results depending on what you were looking for. So, oh well. We can all cry about all the things that are gone. It's like,
I actually found something in the show notes that, I mean, if you want to go there, if not, we'll...
we don't have to go in order. What do you want to squange off on?
I think everybody will love this. I think everybody's going to love this. I found at the bottom of the page, you're talking about Apple steps up the iPad 2 campaign to push functionality over hardware specifications. Tonight a video is going out on that, and I will give you a sneak preview. So let me set this up. I spent a lot of time doing this, and I'm going to turn up my volume so everybody can hear it. But this is the ad, right? So everybody can hopefully hear the ad. I'm going to pump it, because boy, this is my favorite Apple advertisement to pick on. Let's see if it even loads here. Of course, there's always an embed. There's always an embed error with me. And do y'all get these embedded YouTube errors if it's in a web page?
If you get that, just right click on it and say watch on YouTube. You were talking about that the other day. I didn't realize that's what you were talking about. What can cause that is sometimes people like embedding is initially enabled, but they then go and disable it because embedded views get counted differently.
Okay.
And they're like,
here it is. Let's see.
This is what we believe. Technology alone is not enough. Faster, thinner, lighter, those are all good things. But when technology gets out of the way, everything becomes more delightful, even magical. That's when you leap forward. That's when you end up with something like this.
do me a favor.
I spent a lot of time on this.
Do me a favor. Put the URL to that video in here so I can link it in case people couldn't hear it right.
Wait. Listen here. Hold on. This is part of my video.
Okay.
Doing this. Now this is my response.
I
This
believe
video should be up tonight.
if only there were less walls in the apple garden, that technology would simply be enough.
I can hear that. I can hear that barely, but I guarantee you nobody watching this cast is. So when your video's up, put the link in here so I can link to your video in here. I can hear it. I don't know if Leo could, but it's like coming across.
I can't hear it at all.
It was coming across airy.
It sounds like there's a jet engine going on in the background.
Yeah, it's like I'm like put the link in, but yeah, no, that's actually the commercial I'm talking about, and I think that's the type of campaigns this article was talking about. There, it's one of those. It's very.
Now tell me if you can hear it, Leo. Hold on. I just changed it from my mic to this cam. I believe. Can you hear that?
Yeah. Kinda.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. So basically, I'll just bring up the commercial saying that they believe that
Well, that's why I was asking you to cut in.
They say they believe technology is not enough, and then they go on and they say faster, thinner, lighter. These are all good things.
Well, no, that's why I asked you to cut the URL in when it's up, because I can cut that part in to the video.
Oh, yeah, and then they go, but when technology gets out of the way, that's when things become delightful and even magical. So my message to Apple is like, well, if only the walls were removed from the Apple Garden, that technology would be enough.
No, but that wouldn't be magical.
Yeah. I did this whole piano thing and everything, just like the little deal. I believe. If only there were less walls in the Apple Garden, that technology would simply be enough. I can't wait to post it and get all the hate mail.
Oh, you'll get all the fanboy hate mail, I'm sure. No, you're an Apple blasphemous.
I'm so sorry. Apple's
gonna be awesome.
I usually like a lot of their advertising, but this one they had to go where technology gets out of the way. I was like,
but think about the tech specs of the iPad 2 versus what else is available, and as soon as some other things happen, I mean, it's going to be hard to it's hard to compete on tech specs when you don't have the best tech specs. So what do you compete on? You compete on it's the experience. It's magical. Experiences are more important than actually being better.
Apple has always come sort of from the perspective that design is more important than everything else.
Wait. No, there is that aspect of it. Before we move on to some of the other Apple-ness, there's the theory of Windows 8 not coming till 2013. I'm still thinking 2012 is more like the thing. But
that reminds me. How long until the end of the world?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the calendar.
Days until December 21st, 2012.
I'm about
626 days, or 1 year, 8 months, and 16 days.
You know what?
in 1 year, so like in May 2012?
No, they say in the winter solstice, December 21st, 2012, everything's going to earn. I need to. You know what? I should just start putting the dates to this show in Bach tunes. It should be like 12. Dot whatever it is, like we're there, we're approaching. It's like I should just start doing that so you can see the odometer roll over or something. but no. However, the one thing that I'm not liking about all the stuff we're seeing about Windows 8, and I don't know where y'all stand on this, is what I've been afraid of for like the last year plus. When I saw Windows 7, I'm like, Windows 8 is going to be more of this. It's pretty clear, based on the leaked screenshots, that they're going for largely removing the menu bar and taskbar and going for a ribbon-like interface. At least that's
what. Does that mean, ribbon?
If you go to Microsoft, like when you launch Microsoft Office now, you have that ribbon instead of a menu of just icons, and it's like that's going to be the general Windows OS UI. You're going to be going through a ribbon. Basically, think OS 10 if you only had a dock.
I got you.
And I'm like, I don't like the dock particularly to begin with, but I prefer more a taskbar size thing. That's why I'm more a KDE than a GNOME and dock person. But I'm like, it's very clear this is the direction Windows is wanting to go, and I'm like, in OS 10, why it's not my cup of tea, it at least works because you do still have a menu bar. You have the two working together. If you get rid of one and move everything over...
You can totally operate OS 10 without the dock. Just totally. You don't even really need it.
But could you operate OS 10 entirely without the menu bar and only using the dock?
Oh no, that would be problematic.
Yeah, and that's this like ribbon, this oversimplifying, it's the next logical progression of the way they combined the quick launch and the taskbar. It's just more of that stuff, and like beginning to move the start menu into more. And basically, you're gonna be doing everything through that, and it's very clear they're trying to emulate that. And I'm like, but you can't do everything through that. It's like inevitably what could take 3 clicks before will now take 42. It's like I'm sure you can get there from here, but it's like it's not better if you're having to go, hang on, I'm almost done. It's like the Mac wheel thing the Onion made. It's like I can type without a keyboard. Well, yeah, you can, but do you want to? It's like I just don't see this being a pleasant UI, and it makes sense based on what we've heard Microsoft saying. You know, things like we're going to be going with Windows 8 for our tablet OS rather than evolving Phone 7 into a tablet OS, and things like that make perfect sense in a touch interface. I honestly think the direction the Windows UI is going is you're going to have a touch tablet, and you're going to have to buy one of these computers like HP makes, like these all-in-ones with a touch screen to really elegantly interface with the UI. So if you don't have a touch screen, you're just screwed.
Man, I'm gonna say it right now. I think touch is not favorable. Touch is nice on a phone because, quite frankly, it takes too much room to give us a different type of medium to navigate. But I prefer even harder controls, even on some of the, like the Verizon Droid. A touch is tremendously slower than mouse and keyboard.
I think touch works great for some things. A perfect example would be the software that's in front of me right now that's running the video. Touch would actually work for this because I have all the possible scenes down here, and it would be very logical to just go scene, 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 scene. But there are things like that touch works great for. Then there are other things touch not so good for, and it's one of those things. Everybody's fallen in love with touch, so like we have to do everything with touch, everything with touch. No, touch where touch is best, keyboard and mouse where keyboard and mouse. All of these should be working together, not all this, all that, all that. They should be working together, not trying to overtake each other's jobs. And that's the thing they're not. And it's like if I expect anybody to just completely and totally not understand this, I have to say Microsoft fits the bill. So I can see them doing this.
And I want to tell you, OS 10 gets touch crazy, and with these touchpads and stuff. And I'm still killer keyboard and mouse. Sometimes that perhaps what you're talking about, where I see touch, is if you're in the application, maybe reading a book, maybe scrolling a little bit.
There are times it can add more and it can improve functionality, but I'm not sure it can ever fully take over until we have computers that are fully voice control and preferably neuro chip control, where I just think it and it does it. It's like, short of that, I don't see touch being able to fully take over for the keyboard and the mouse. Of course, that's if you're doing more complex things, which admittedly is the type of user you and I both are. I'm almost wondering if in about 3 to 5 years with this touch obsession, if people who are, oh, a keyboard, how quaint, and people who actually use it, and people who actually use a Mickey Mouse and like. But they're gonna be looking at us like people who were fans of accordion boards. I don't know if anybody remembers what an accordion board, but once upon a time we didn't have this thing called a keyboard. You had to type all the letters and numbers using an accordion board, and you could do it. And there were people who were incredibly proficient at it. They could type faster on accordion boards than most people can on a keyboard. They're like, I am not giving up my accordion board. But everybody else was like, I like having all 26 letters and all 10 numbers and other keys. Screw the accordion board.
I get proficient at the number pad and the full keyboard. My mother has an iMac, and her, she got the newer one, and the keyboard, there's nothing. It's just like this little, it's built for Smurfs and the keyboard elves. And and I never really used anything Apple in terms of peripherals. I don't think they ever got it for years. Other than their older keyboards were fine, and I'm using the last generation full style keyboard from Apple, but all my mice are non-Apple. I just can't stand their mice.
Joy. I think we'll go over these iPhone theories and iWorlds. We should probably go over the 10 things on the iPad and iWorld too, because if we go into that now, we're just going to be being really weird. However, we will go one thing. The only one of these that really makes excessive sense is this last one here about the 8-megapixel camera. It makes sense, but I'll believe it when I see it, because that is such a sign. Although if they are doing this, that pretty much guarantees that the iPhone 5 is not going to be out till fall, because there's no way they can get that camera in it for a summer release. It's not going to happen.
Right.